As a urologist with over 2 decades of experience, I've witnessed firsthand how societal silence around male sexual health creates unnecessary suffering. My name is Dr. Laura Marino, and today I want to address a critical issue shrouded in misconception: the profound consequences of neglecting sexual activity, particularly as men age. This isn't just about physical function, it's about holistic well-being. The penis, much like any other organ, thrives on use. When sexual activity diminishes, whether due to emotional barriers, health challenges, or lifestyle factors, a cascade of physiological and psychological changes can unfold, often unnoticed until significant damage occurs. Let's explore this invisible epidemic affecting men's quality of life and dismantle the myth that sexual health is a luxury rather than a vital component of longevity. Consider the complex interplay between emotional intimacy and physical connection. Relationships form the bedrock of sexual activity, yet when conflicts arise, as they inevitably do in long-term partnerships, the intimacy that once bound couples can erode. Picture a couple married for 30 years, years of unspoken resentments, financial stresses, or parenting disagreements create emotional calluses. They might share a home but inhabit separate emotional worlds. Communication falters. Conversations become transactional, about bills, chores, or appointments, rather than connective. This emotional drift manifests physically. The man might notice a gradual decline in spontaneous desire, dismissing it as normal aging, not realizing his body is responding to an intimacy famine. The bed, once a place of connection, becomes a neutral zone where both parties read or scroll through phones, avoiding touch that might signal expectation. Over months, this detachment rewires neural pathways. The brain, adept at conserving energy, begins associating the bedroom with tension rather than pleasure. Without conscious effort to rebuild bridges, through couples therapy, scheduled connection time, or rediscovering shared passions, the body adapts. Smooth muscle tissue in the penis, deprived of regular engorgement, starts fibrosing. It's a silent process, like a garden hose left unused in a shed, growing brittle until one day it cracks under pressure. Grief, another stealthy thief of sexuality, operates in shadows. When a man loses a partner, through death, divorce, or abandonment, the world fractures. A widower in his 60s, for instance, might abstain from masturbation or new relationships, believing fidelity to memory requires celibacy. His grief, a valid and necessary process, becomes a prison. Cortisol floods his system, dampening testosterone production. Nightly tears replace nocturnal emissions. Over time, the genital tissues, lacking the rhythmic oxygenation of erections, even solitary ones, undergo structural changes. The corpus cavernosum, those spongy chambers that engorge with blood, develop microscarring. This isn't mere metaphor. Histological studies show collagen infiltration in underused penile tissue, reducing elasticity. Yet society tells him to move on, ignoring that grief's timeline is as unique as a fingerprint. Without support groups or grief-informed therapists, he might internalize shame, interpreting his atrophied sexual response as a failure rather than a natural consequence of mourning. Chronic illnesses, those relentless life-alterers, add another layer. A prostate cancer survivor, post-radiation, grapples with erectile dysfunction. His oncologist rightly prioritizes survival, but no one prepares him for the identity crisis when arousal lags. Chemotherapy's fatigue is all-consuming. Between nausea and neuropathy, sex feels like a distant concern. Yet here's the paradox. Sexual activity, when possible, boosts immune function through dopamine and oxytocin release. The man battling diabetes faces nerve damage. Peripheral neuropathy silences the pleasurable signals from his genitals. Unaware, he stops initiating intimacy, not out of disinterest but defeated anticipation. His partner, misinterpreting withdrawal as rejection, grows distant. This bidirectional strain exacerbates his condition. Stress elevates blood glucose, accelerating diabetic complications. It's a vicious cycle. Illness dampens sexuality, and sexual neglect worsens health outcomes. Libido, that elusive force, doesn't vanish capriciously. Modern life's breakneck pace plays puppeteer. A corporate lawyer in his 50s, billing 70-hour weeks, exists in perpetual fight or flight. His adrenal glands pump cortisol, suppressing gonadotropin-releasing hormone, the spark plug for testosterone. Evenings find him scrolling emails, not embracing his spouse. Performance reviews replace pillow talk. Over years, his brain's reward circuitry prioritizes work achievements over sexual rewards. Dopamine hits come from closing deals, not climax. Pornography, a quick fix during rare private moments, rewires arousal templates until real partner intimacy feels lackluster. Meanwhile, antihypertensives, essential for his borderline hypertension, steal nitric oxide, that crucial vasodilator. He attributes his waning erections to age, unaware that lifestyle tweaks, mindfulness to lower cortisol, strategic scheduling of intimacy, or PDE5 inhibitors, could reboot his sexual health. Andropause, male menopause's under-discussed cousin, creeps in silently. Testosterone peaks at 20, then declines 1% yearly post-30. By 60, many men hover near hypogonadal levels. Yet society mocks low T as a marketing ploy, leaving men to suffer in silence. Symptoms compound: lethargy, depression, reduced muscle mass, all dampening sexual confidence. A retired teacher, once vibrant, notices his beard thinning and belly expanding. Morning erections, nature's nightly tissue maintenance, become sporadic. Without that nocturnal oxygenation, his penile tissues starve. Collagen deposits stiffen the tunica albuginea, the penis's fibrous sheath. Intercourse, when attempted, feels strained, like bending a rusty hinge. He withdraws further, not realizing hormone replacement therapy, HRT, or pelvic floor exercises could restore function. Shame binds him. Admitting sexual struggles feels emasculating. The fallout of penile neglect is both intimate and systemic. Vascular health mirrors genital health. The same endothelial dysfunction causing erectile issues heralds future heart attacks. A man presenting with ED is a cardiac patient in waiting. The penis, a barometer for cardiovascular wellness. Fibrosis isn't just structural. It's symbolic of neglected self-care. Partners suffer too, often misinterpreting disuse as rejection. A woman might internalize her husband's erectile silence, wondering if she's undesirable, not grasping his silent struggle with diabetes or depression. Relationships fracture under this mutual misunderstanding, proving that sexual health is communal, not individual. Solutions exist, yet require dismantling stigma. Penis pumps, often mocked in pop culture, are FDA-approved medical devices. Used daily for 10 minutes, they create passive erections, forcing oxygen-rich blood into dormant tissues. Think of it as physiotherapy for the penis, reversing atrophy through gentle persistence. Combined with shockwave therapy, which stimulates angiogenesis, men can regain lost function. Nutrition plays a role. L-arginine-rich foods, spinach, turkey, boost nitric oxide, while zinc, oysters, nuts, supports testosterone. Cognitive behavioral therapy reframes sexual anxiety, teaching men to exit the spectator role, observing their performance critically, and re-embody sensation. Medical interventions, once taboo, now offer hope. Testosterone replacement, carefully monitored, can reignite libido and restore energy. For those wary of HRT, clomiphene citrate prompts the body to produce its own testosterone. PDE5 inhibitors like sildenafil aren't party drugs, but endothelial protectants, enhancing blood flow systemically. Innovations like platelet-rich plasma, PRP, injections harness the body's growth factors to rejuvenate penile tissue. Even mental health is pivotal. SSRIs for depression often dampen libido, but bupropion, an atypical antidepressant, can alleviate mood without sexual sacrifice. Partnerships must evolve. Couples who schedule intimacy, unromantic as it sounds, report higher satisfaction. It's about prioritizing connection in a distracted world. Sensate focus exercises, developed by Masters and Johnson, rebuild erotic maps through non-goal-oriented touch. A couple might spend weeks simply caressing hands or sharing massages, relearning each other's landscapes without performance pressure. For widowers, support groups like Modern Widowers Club provide safe spaces to process loss and consider future relationships without guilt. Work-life balance isn't corporate jargon, it's a sexual health imperative. Men must guard against the cult of busyness. A tech CEO I counseled began email-free Sundays, discovering that unplugging reactivated his dormant libido. His brain, freed from perpetual problem-solving, reconnected with bodily pleasures. Mindfulness practices, even 10-minute daily meditations, lower cortisol, indirectly boosting testosterone. Sleep, often sacrificed for productivity, is when testosterone production peaks. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours nightly is non-negotiable. Education gaps persist. Schools teach reproductive biology but neglect functional sexual health. Men over 50 often don't realize that regular ejaculation, 2 to 3 weekly, correlates with reduced prostate cancer risk. A study in European urology found men ejaculating greater than or equal to 21 times monthly had 31% lower prostate cancer odds than those with 4 to 7. Sexual activity is preventive health care, yet insurers rarely cover consultations with sexual medicine specialists. To men feeling resigned, aging needn't mean decline. Consider Hiroshi, 72, who after a triple bypass, assumed his sex life was over. Cardiac rehab included sexual counseling, teaching him to gauge exertion, use positions that minimize strain, and communicate openly with his wife. 2 years post-surgery, he's more active than in his 50s. Or Marcus, a widower who after 3 years of celibacy, joined a grief group, eventually tentatively dating. His initial erectile difficulties, addressed with a vacuum pump and tadalafil, gave way to a fulfilling new relationship. This isn't about machismo or performance metrics, it's about quality of life. Sexual health interweaves with mental acuity, cardiovascular fitness, and emotional resilience. A man sexually engaged is more likely to exercise, eat well, and nurture relationships, creating a virtuous cycle. Yet cultural narratives paint older male sexuality as pathetic or predatory, driving men into isolation. We must reframe. A 70-year-old's sexual vitality is as natural as his counterpart at 30, albeit expressed differently. In closing, I urge you to view sexual health as integral, not incidental. If you've noticed changes, reduced firmness, delayed ejaculation, waning desire, don't dismiss them. Seek a urologist or sexual health specialist. Treatments abound, from lifestyle adjustments to cutting-edge therapies. For those seeking self-guided steps, my digital book Rediscovering Intimacy, Healthy Sexuality After 60 distills decades of clinical insights into actionable strategies. Whether reviving a long-term partnership or navigating solo, it's never too late to reinvest in your sexual well-being. Your engagement fuels this mission. If this resonates, comment below, share your journey or questions. Every like extends our reach, helping others break their silence. Click the link below for your copy of Rediscovering Intimacy, and join our community committed to thriving, not just surviving, in later chapters. Remember, your penis is more than an organ, it's a mirror of your overall health. Treat it with the care you'd give your heart, brain, or any vital system. Here's to reclaiming vitality, one informed choice at a time.